I'm Sarain Fox, your host of Origins, a series in partnership with Indigenous Tourism Ontario and the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair. I've been on a mission to find incredible Indigenous culinary experiences to share with all of you. Come with me on this adventure. I'm delighted to be here in Owen Sound with Chef Zach Keeshig. Zach, can you tell me a little bit about where we are and why we're here?
So we're in Owen Sound right now. We're at Harrison Park, where we're going to be foraging a few things that we would showcase in our tasting menu.
Awesome.
When I was younger, my aunt used to make us this cedar tea, and honestly, it was disgusting. But it's very high in vitamin C. It's normally used as like a body cleanser. But as I started doing these tasting menu dinners, I wanted to introduce our guests and our staff into the cedar tea. But now when we make it, we'll steep it. We don't steep it as long as my aunt did, but we'll chill it, and then now we sweeten it with just a touch of maple syrup, almost like a chilled iced tea.
So you've gotten rid of the bitter, but you kept the cedar.
Yes, well, we got rid of using processed refined sugar. We use either honey or we'll use maple syrup, which is quite nice.
So we've done cedar. What's next?
The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be sumac that's just down the road here. Once we get there and we show you, I'll talk a bit more about it. The next thing we're going to talk about here is going to be staghorn sumac. So the way you can tell that it's sumac is if you see the sort of leaves here, how it branches out like that. And then the next thing you can really tell that it's sumac is just this bright red cone here. What our people would do is they would soak these cones in cold water and it'd make almost like a sumac-ade because these are very, very tart. The way you can tell that it's ready, if you give it a little squeeze, as you can see, it leaves this beautiful like juice on my hands. And if you give it a little lick, it's very, very tart. But what else you can do in Middle Eastern cooking is they would pick these berries and they would make something called za'atar. So you dehydrate the sumac, you toast a bit of sesame seed and you put a bit of thyme in there as well. And then it's a great sort of rub for meat. It goes great with quite a few things.
Now that I'm nice and sticky from the sumac, where are we going to next?
So the next spot we're going to go look at is some cattails. Not too many people know that they're edible, but the bottom root of it has a slight cucumber flavor.
Okay, let's go check it out.
Perfect. When we're foraging this stuff, we have to make sure that we're foraging in clean water, not stagnant water or water that's being polluted, because you got to remember we're going to eat a lot of this wild edibles and stuff like that, right? What we're going to be digging for is going to be the inside of the root. All I do is I usually just cut the end off here. Do you see how nice and white that is?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going for there. It almost has a slight cucumber flavor when it's raw here, but it's also used, as you can see how it has a bit of slime on there. It's also used as like an antiseptic, almost like aloe vera, yeah. Like if you get a sunburn, you could rub it on your skin like that. What we want to harvest for today is going to be the inside here. It's a nice little trail snack if you wanted to. What we're going to do is we see how soft it is in the middle here. These ones are a bit out of season, but if you want to try that there in the middle, it almost has a slight cucumbery flavor.
Oh yeah, totally.
When we forage these, we'll pickle them so they'll go nice on fish. It brings a bit of acidity to things because we stopped using lemons in our cooking.
Oh, that's changing the whole palate.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, where are we off to next?
So the next thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at some wild watercress and some wild ginger.
Beautiful.
In our kitchen, we stopped going to the grocery store pretty much to buy things. So this is a great way to introduce that horseradish sort of flavor to dishes. So this stuff will go nice with beef, it goes nice with fish. You could just toss it into a salad if you wanted to. Quite amazing how it grows. Underneath there's the rooting system that has almost like little tentacles on it. When it grows, it grabs itself and then it keeps growing, and that's how you see that it's spread here so much. Have a little taste here, but we'll use this instead of horseradish. It almost has like a wild arugula sort of flavor.
A bite.
Yeah,
That's fabulous.
It's nice, And then today we're going to use that on our bannock dish with the cured fish.
There's one last ingredient that we're here to get.
So one last thing we're going to get is going to be wild ginger, and it's just over that way.
Okay.
So the way we can tell that it's wild ginger, if you see here, the leaves on it almost have a kidney shape. You can tell this is a bit later in the season because the bugs are getting to it. And if you smell it, like it almost has a lemongrass sort of flavor, lemon balm, lemon thyme, because we don't use lemons in our kitchen anymore. So we're able to find things in the wild that taste like that.
And that have the same kind of acidity?
This here, we're not looking for acidity, we're looking more for flavor. The sumac we can get acidity from, but it doesn't have much flavor beside acid, where this will give us more of a fragrance in a dish. Like if we made a sauce, this will give you like a wild ginger sort of fragrance.
So we're going to be using this in today's dish, and we're ready to go make it, right?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, let's do it. So we're here at the Owen Sound Farmers Market, and I'm really excited because this is where all the magic happens.
So this is a dish that is the first course that you normally get on our tasting menu here. This bread that I'm going to serve you here is actually a bread that my grandmother would make for us when we were younger. But when she was making the batter, she would roll it in hot dogs and deep fry it, and we would dip it in ketchup and mustard. Oh, it's delicious. We still make it to this day. I make it for my kids all the time.
Amazing.
But I wanted to incorporate that dish into our menu, and then this is what we've come up with here. I'm going to do a bit of assembly for you here, and you can try one.
Okay.
So what we have here is we have our bannock. It's been lightly fried in sunflower oil. The way my grandmother and them would make it, they would fry it in lard, but I just found it would absorb too much fat. So now we just do it a bit quicker in the sunflower oil.
Okay.
So that's gonna be our base. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna thinly slice some lightly cured rainbow trout. So we get this rainbow trout locally from a place just outside of Wyerton. We support them because they buy indigenous fish. So then we'll buy fish from them because we're supporting indigenous businesses.
Amazing.
So all we're gonna do, this has just been lightly cured in a bit of salt. All we're gonna do now is we're gonna slice it very thinly, almost like smoked salmon in the grocery store. We just wanna slice it nice and thin. What the salt has done is it's seasoned the fish a little bit, and then it's just drawn out a bit of the moisture on it, and then it's just firmed the flesh up just a little bit. I want the flavor of the fish to come out, so we do it with just a tiny bit of salt.
And so you keep saying tasting menu. What is the inspiration for this small plate, small dish?
So I was working with a chef around here. He's one of the most famous chefs around here. It's Egginson Farm, and his name's Michael Statlander. And I learned about him because he was doing a lot of foraging and then incorporating that into his menu. So I just cold called him one day and I was like, hey, can I come to your restaurant and work for free pretty much? And he's like, yeah, sure, come down. I just kind of didn't leave for a little while. We kept going back every summer, and I was inspired by what he was doing, but I wanted to have my own take on it. Like at first, I didn't really know what my cuisine was going to be. We were going out and foraging, we were sourcing locally. At the time, I was with my kid's mother, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking about doing indigenous food. It's like you're already doing indigenous food, like you're going out, you're foraging, you're sourcing things from the ground. Eventually, you get sort of the fever, and you go out and you learn about wild plants and stuff like that to add to your menu.
Beautiful.
This is our plate that we've made. We get all of our stuff that we use in our menu. We source this stuff, have it made locally. So we always want to try and tie in that local aspect into what we're doing. It's my art just as much as them. I get to showcase my friend's art now too. So once again, the bannock's on the bottom. And then all I've done is I've just cured this fish lightly, and we're just gonna put a bit of this fish on top. And we wanna make sure we put enough on that you have enough in each bite here. I don't know, it sucks when you don't get a piece of nice fish in every bite.
Yeah, it's like when you have a burger and you just get the bun.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
And then this is our glaze. I've reduced some apple cider vinegar. I've sweetened it a bit with maple syrup we source locally. And then I've chopped that wild ginger into here. Give the dish acidity. I'm just gonna glaze the fish a little bit. So you should get like a sweet, sour, crunchy, a whole bunch of different textures in one bite.
And look what it does to the color right away, huh?
It's very beautiful.
You can't smell this, but that glaze just like literally made the most fragrant.
Yeah,
it's like a lemon.
Yeah, it's very vinegary, very gingery. So and then what we do is we put this on our plate here. So this would go out to 2 guests that are eating with us. And then what we like to do afterwards is in our dishes, we always have a foraging element. We have something we've sourced locally, and then we try to create a dish out of that. So, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to garnish with, these are wild carrot greens that I've just gone out and foraged out front. And then these are a bit of the wild carrot flowers. It's also called Queen's Anne's lace. So every once in a while we'll do a dish just with the flowers. We'll go out and we'll forage the flowers, then we'll tempura batter them and fry them. And use
with
them
the
on
Queen
a dish.
Anne lace.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite neat what you can do with some of this stuff. We want to be able to identify the flavors, but we want to have different things that we've gone out and foraged on there. And then there we go. One of my signature dishes that's on the menu, it changes quite a bit. We'll cook the bread at the wood fire oven. Now we fried it. So on the bottom, it's an Ojibwe bannock that my grandmother used to make. And then we've lightly cured some rainbow trout. We've glazed it with some wild ginger, apple cider vinegar, and maple. And then it's just some wild edible garnishes on top.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to pick it up.
Yes, please give it a try.
I have to. It's going to make a mess. It always does.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
And the bread isn't too thick. It's like the perfect thing.
No, so it's very easy to make this bread. Everybody thinks it's complicated, but it's a bit of flour that we source locally here. We add a bit of salt, and then what gives it that rise is just a bit of baking powder and then warm water. We just let it sit, we roll it out. You don't even really have to roll it out. It's just me being a chef, I like to have the perfect rounds, you know what I mean? But if you wanted to, you could just tear the bread off and you could deep fry it like that. When you make the dough, you could actually just put that in a pan and bake it if you wanted to. Like I said, we cook it in the wood fire oven. We try to do different techniques and have it different every time.
I think it's amazing for people to have an Indigenous culinary experience. For all of you watching, you can find Zach Keeshig right here at the Owen Sound Farmers Market or Nagaan. It's time for you to come and taste the food or find a way to get here or maybe try it out at home. Who knows? Chimigwich, thank you so much for joining us.